Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor in chief. So, welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. This is live stream 878. If you're not overly familiar with this show, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then we take a peek at a tabletop game. And tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at the Zweihänder Starter Set from Grim and Perilous Studios and Andrews McMeel Publishing. So this has some good heft to it, ladies and gents. So we are going to dive on in and take a peek at this starter set in just a bit. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out we tackled the tabletop gaming news first. So if you are tuning in because you want to see the live unboxing, kick back, relax, put your feet up. That's if you're watching live. It'll be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get to the unboxing. But if you are watching 30 minutes or more after this stream ends, then there will be timestamps. So you can jump ahead if you'd like. If you're that impatient, gotta see it right now. If you're like that, well, then there will be timestamps. They will be located in the show notes, or depending on the device you might happen to be watching this on, might be right there in the timeline, right in front of your eyes. Anything's possible. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. And I do want to mention, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So, right off the bat here, we have Joseph Quam is first out the gate. The Motor City Madman is with us as well. So, our first of our chat moderators is with us. Mike S., Stray Kismet, Wancho Dumagal is joining us from the Amazon. Coco B is in chat with us. Roger Prudhomme, who actually stopped by paypal.me and made a donation to the Gaming Gang. Big thumbs up. Thank you very much. Liquid Nebula is here. Flaming Heron, who is also a chat moderator. Kevin R. Smith. Rafael Mores is with us too. I think that might be, oh no, there's more. There's certainly more. Kathy Evans, Mike Larson. I believe this might be Mike's first visit with us in chat. So welcome. So there you have it. We've got chat off and running. So nice chat kicking off early on already. So before we jump on into the news, I do want to mention last night I shared an ad during the brief intermission for I forget what chow mein company it was. And I said I couldn't remember who the writer was because it was someone who they were a voice artist, they were an actor, they ran they actually, if I remember correctly, I think they were also a radio DJ, kind of like a Gene Shepard type out of New York. I don't know if he was out of New York. And I was like, oh, damn, what? I can't remember their name. Stan Freberg. Of course, the stream ended. I was shutting down shop here in the duct tape studios. And all of a sudden it was like, Stan Freberg, dummy. Son of Anywho, Sarah D is with us in chat. Welcome. Deja Vu and Shaz are also hanging out with us. Yes, Sarah D points out it was Chung King Chow Mein. That was a pretty funny commercial. I, I don't know. I thought it was funny. But then again, I have an oddball sense of humor. I think people know that by now. Actually, I have no sense of humor. I had somebody comment on, I want to say it was the first part. It was, yes, part one of my Let's Build a completely open source fantasy role playing game. And they said that I am not witty or clever. I was like, well, I really wasn't trying to be. Lord Cost 2000 has joined us in chat. Welcome aboard, everybody. So let's jump on into the news because arriving from Crow D Games is Evolution New World. Here's the scoop. Evolution New World tells the story of how animals of all shapes and sizes develop and evolve. The game lets players take control of the evolutionary process across an entire ecosystem and create populations of species competing for scarce resources. In Evolution New World, you create animals and give them traits essential to surviving in an ever changing environment. Over the course of 6 epochs, your successful animals evolve and procure food, while poorly adapted species become extinct or fall prey to predators. At the end of the game, victory points are awarded for your surviving animals and the traits they possess. The player with the most points wins the game. The diversity of living organisms inhabiting our planet is astonishing. According to the theory of evolution, random mutations occur all the time, granting new traits to animals and plants. These traits are then tested through natural selection. Animals with beneficial traits propagate more successfully than others. They expand their habitat areas and effectively protect themselves against predators and unfavorable conditions. Such species dominate the ecosystem, while poorly adapted animals become extinct. Evolution New World is an updated and extended version of the basic Evolution, the Origin of Species game. It includes both well known animal traits and new ones, complete with refined descriptions and colorful illustrations. Food is now generated using area cards, and animals can use shelter to hide from predators. Evolution New World is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays around 30 to 60 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $45. Now, you may be wondering, wait a second, Evolution, I thought that was with North Star Games. I guess not any longer. Actually, I got to point out, I'm kind of surprised to see how North Star Games has really kind of fallen off the past few years. They really don't. Okay, they still have Oceans, which is a pretty interesting game, and it's an evolution game. And I think they've got Evolution Climate, but I think that's almost it. I don't know. sadly enough, they did go through a period where the games they were releasing were just sort of. So, but I am a fan of evolution. In fact, I remember I broke out Oceans with my nephew and, well, it was his girlfriend at the time, and another one of their friends, and they had a blast with it. They just loved the fact of like you could kill off other people's species. Yes, sick bastards. Russell Higgins is with us in chat. So is Testy Trekkie. So welcome aboard. Arriving in stores in the second quarter of 2023 is Lord of the Rings Adventure to Mount Doom. From KOSMOS, here's the skinny. In the Lord of the Rings Adventure to Mount Doom, players follow the story of Frodo's perilous journey to destroy the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom. He's accompanied by his familiar fellowship, who are charged with protecting him from the dangers he will face along the way. The players control the fortunes of this company together by moving the individual figures across the game board on a journey through many well known places from the beloved Lord of the Rings novels. It is important to beware of the Nazgul, while at the same time making sure that Frodo does not lose his confidence and freeze in despair. When Frodo reaches Mount Doom, the players have all won together. The movement of the characters is controlled by a special dice mechanism. Colored dice determine which figure can be moved. Your dice value determines the number of spaces a figure can travel. By choosing the dice before and after the roll, players are faced with decisions that are seemingly uncomplicated, but nevertheless significant for the outcome of the game. Black dice, which always must be rolled, trigger threats or cause encounters with enemies or friends. The encounter cards ensure the continuous, ever growing threat to completing the quest. As in most cooperative games, players must coordinate their moves and actions with each other to ensure the desired outcome. The Lord of the Rings Adventure to Mount Doom is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 50 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $49.95 when it arrives this spring. I wish I had more images to share with you. In fact, I am sharing the German language box back because that's the only one that's floating around. Flaming Heron, of course, jumps in and says, guess this game also requires you to learn another language. Ha ha. So funny, Flaming Huron. So I wonder if Fatty's in this. I wonder if anybody out there is going to get that reference. Yes, it's Frodo and Sam and Mary and Pippin and Fatty. It's like, what? Way back in the podcast days, I kind of lost my shit over that. Anywho, Fleming Heron says, hey, I struggle with English as well. Yes, because I always joke around that I treat English as if it were a second language. Moving right along. How about some role playing game news? Because Bundle of Holding is currently offering an alternatives to D&D bundle. I've got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. If you've been playing Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons, I find it interesting that they refer to it as Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons, not Wizards of the Coast, because nobody refers to D&D from Hasbro. So I thought that was a little interesting how kind of throw Hasbro in there. Anyway, if you've been playing Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons or are looking for something different, well, geez, why would you be doing that? I wonder. This D&D Alternatives bundle gathers 9 top quality tabletop Fantasy role-playing games for an unbeatable bargain price. Whether full-featured rules tomes like Dungeon Crawl Classics, Hackmaster, and Shadow of the Demon Lord, tactical action games like Fragged Kingdom, or old-school minimalists like Tiny Dungeon and Five Torches Deep, these fine fantasy role-playing games, all drawn from previous Bundle of Holdings offers, can handle the monsters, magic, and heroic adventure you expect. Try them out. For just $9.95, you'll get all three complete games in the starter collection with the retail value of $58 as DRM free PDFs, including Sigil Stone Publishing's Five Torches Deep, Gallant Knight's Tiny Dungeon 2nd Edition, and the current 5th edition of the venerable Chivalry and Sorcery from Britannia Game Designs. As a convenience to customers, we've also added two acclaimed free retro clones, the Basic Fantasy role-playing game 3rd edition and Gerben Troll's Lightmaster core rulebook. Gotta be honest, I am not familiar with Lightmaster. And if you pay more than the threshold price of $28.23, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 5 more complete titles worth an additional $107, including the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game rulebook from Goodman Games, Schwalb Entertainment's Shadow of the Demon Lord, the Hackmaster Player's Handbook from Kenzer & Company, plus the free Hackmaster Basic, and the original 2015 Fragged Empire 1st Edition core rules from Design Ministries, along with its fantasy setting, Fragged Kingdom. These savings run through February 8th. And do want to point out they do not benefit any charities. So this is another bundle of holding that we've run across with kind of like alternatives to Dungeons and Dragons by way of fantasy role-playing games that is not benefiting a charity. I'm kind of surprised. Gotta say, I am familiar with the vast majority of these. Although Five Torches Deep, I have not checked out. I've heard good things. And Chivalry and Sorcery, I heard, is probably the crunchiest fantasy role-playing game out there. Obviously, Basic Fantasy is fantastic. We've talked about that many times in the past. I love me my Dungeon Crawl Classics. That's loads of fun. Everybody says Shadow of the Demon Lord is really good. So, quite a few very popular fantasy role-playing games in the mix. Plus, don't forget, we have that fantastic Humble Bundle that I talked about last night that is it just blows you away. It's $25 or more as far as a donation, and you can pick up, if I remember correctly, it was $887 worth of PDFs. Kevin asks, crunchier than Rollmaster? Yes, I've heard it is. I have heard that Chivalry and Sorcery is, now, once again, I've not seen it, so I can't say for certain. And it's been decades since I've seen Rollmaster. Although I'm trying to remember if they're sending me a copy or not of the new edition. For some reason I know they asked if I wanted to check it out. I can't remember if I said yes or not. Yes, Mike S says Five Torches Deep is pretty good. Zorak Zoran 1 is with us. Double Z1, good to have you in the house. Moving right along. Following a successful Kickstarter, Limithron will be releasing Pirate Borg next month through Free League Publishing. Here's what I know. Pirate Borg is a game about being a greedy, filthy scoundrel. No prey, no pay. Find a ship, recruit some crew, raid, pillage, plunder, and otherwise pilfer your Weasley black guts out. Get a bigger ship, kill some things, upgrade your ship, sneak into a fort, raid a port, acquire treasure, bury said treasure, become infamous, search for someone else's treasure, flee in terror from unfathomable creatures from the deep, drink all the rum, die on the high seas, roll up a new character, and do it all again. For dead men tell no tales, so better get a live one as fast as you can. Included in this 168-page book are 8 character classes, easy to learn naval combat rules, stats for 18 vessels, over 80 NPCs and monsters, over 90 system agnostic tables, and the Curse of Skeleton Point, a sandbox style adventure with 11 pirate themed locations. Each copy also includes a double sided folded map. The game is written and illustrated by Luke Stratton, also known as Limithron, who's known for his pirate themed battle maps. The 168-page hardcover is supposed to arrive next month. It's going to carry an MSRP of $39.99. I do not have a PDF price, so I did not see it in PDF right now. So, kind of surprised by that. I would assume once it's available by way of Free League Publishing, you will see it available in PDF. So I'm kind of curious, is this supposed to be pronounced Pirate Borg or Pirate Big? So my guest says they think Lightmaster is a version of Rollmaster with lighter rules. I don't know. Let's take a quick peek. Gerben Troll. I don't think so, because it would be Iron Crown Enterprises for Rollmaster. So, or then again, maybe it's kind of a retro clone of the original Rollmaster. I don't know. My final news piece: the Spire role-playing game Quick Start is now available in print and PDF from Rowan Rook Decard. Here's the skinny. You are a dark elf. Your home, the towering city of Spire, was occupied by the High Elves 200 years ago. Now you've joined a secret organization known as the Ministry, a paramilitary cult with a single aim: to overthrow the cruel High Elves and restore the Drow as the rightful rulers of the city. What or who will you sacrifice to achieve your aims? Will you evade the attention of the authorities or end up shot in the street like so many before you? Spire is a mile-high city riven by oppression and cruelty. The ruling High Elf class lord over the subjugated Dark Elves from ice-rimmed palaces, while their charges work and die in their factories, gardens, tenements, and armies. The time has come for change. Hit the ground running and change the city for good with the Spire Quick Start. It includes streamlined rules, edited and redesigned for clarity and ease of play. 6 pre-generated characters, including Bonchance Merik, a spoiled but brilliant midwife occultist. Wow, we're getting a little detail there, huh? Dayel Serpent's Eye, an ex-military gangster knight, and Mallory Hemlock, a damaged moon priest with a taste for murder. Snuff Out the Sun, a starter adventure which focuses around the murder and replacement of a prominent high elf bishop before or during a spiritually relevant solar eclipse, and is designed to mesh with the conspiracy kit, allowing you to continue your campaign with ease. The 37-page soft cover with PDF carries an MSRP of $10, or you can grab the PDF alone right now as a pay what you want at Drive-Thru RPG. And the recommended price is $5, but I say it all the time, don't feel bad if you pick up something pay what you want and pay nothing, because publishers expect that. And who knows, you might really like it and end up kicking them a few bucks later on down the line, or actually going and purchasing the full-fledged game. So there's that possibility as well. I have heard good things about the Spire. If I remember correctly, I think it is powered by the Apocalypse. So, and it might actually, no, maybe not. I was going to say, I, I don't think it's Band of Blades. I think it's powered by the Apocalypse. Although Band of Blades is also powered by the Apocalypse. So nice. Very, very nice. That is it for our news for this evening. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, I don't know, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com. First, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find the gaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, then by all means, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. And yes, as I already mentioned, Richard P., as well as the Madman, recently stopped by and made not so small donations. So thank you very kindly. Kevin says, Band of Blades is Forged in the Dark. Yeah, I always mix up what came first, right? Forged in the Dark, which is based on Powered by the Apocalypse. So it's kind of Powered by the Apocalypse by association, as Kevin points out. Yes, like I said, there's so many that are now what are they? I think they just called Forged, something like that, which are games that are kind of offshoots of Forged in the Dark, like Band of Blades. So for some reason, I don't know why I went to that game. Don't know. All righty. So we are going to be diving on into the Zweihänder starter set in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Precious, and the soda's delicious. Try some today. We are the intermission quartet. Some quartet. We sell refreshments at the Met. At the Met? So if you should want to get delicious ice cream, soft drink, popcorn, candy, I like candy. Tastes just dandy and comes in handy when I fight the bull. A popcorn puffy so crisp and fluffy, we all eat popcorn until we're full. Oh, how I love the soft drinks here. They taste as good as the lager beer. And now our operetta ends. We'll have an intermission, friend.
One is still a great one when it's Busch Bavarian beer.
You know, people who don't drink Wilkins coffee just blow up sometimes.
Oh, that's a lot of...
See what I mean?
Tracy to kids,
Tracy to kids. Come in, kids. Come in, kids. It's here at last, the new Dick Tracy two-way wrist radio that keeps you in constant touch with your buddies. Easy to work. Up antenna, switch on, press talk button, and you broadcast from room to room and even house to house. No wires needed, yet voices travel back and forth. Radio on the open road from one bike to another, or when out hiking.
Dad, I found a bear's cave.
Be right down, son.
The powerful, fully transistorized Dick Tracy two-way wrist radio is a real electronic instrument.
Make sure all the fellows get their A-OK Dick Tracy wrist radio so they can keep in touch. Over and out.
The one and only Dick Tracy wrist radio, wherever American toys are sold.
Yes, somebody's got saloon doors to the kitchen, as Kevin points out. Funny enough, when I was a kid, when I was in grammar school, I actually had two friends whose houses actually had saloon doors going into the kitchen. So that was a thing at some point. Kind of weird. So, and yes, Wilkins dies. Just up in smoke. No, Mike, it is not Kermit. That is Wilkins for Wilkins Coffee. All right. So today I am going to be unboxing and taking a first look at the Zweihänder Starter Set from Grim and Perilous Studios and Andrew McMeel Publishing. This box set carries an MSRP of $29.99, or you can grab the PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $6.66. Zoinks! I do not know how much of that Satan gets. So, Mike says the voice threw him off thinking it was Kermit. Well, that was Jim Henson. That was Jim Henson doing the voice. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the starter set. And look, it's a guest appearance by the Flame Princess. Sort of like, kind of weird. A redhead, just like Lamentations of the Flame Princess. They like to throw a redhead on the cover. So Kevin says it is Jim Henson, just a different character. Not sure if that's Frank Oz doing Wontkins. I don't think it is. I think Frank Oz joined them a little bit later. So, all right. So let's get the shrink wrap off here. So I will mention a few things. So first of all, when I did my video talking about 29 fantasy role-playing games which were worthy of your attention that were not Dungeons and Dragons, I did not include Zweihänder in the mix. And people were asking, you know, how come you didn't? Hey, what about Zweihänder? Hey, it was like, well, I had heard some things, and that's why I did not include it. And then I had mentioned on Twitter why I didn't include Zweihänder in the mix. And Daniel Fox reached out and said, well, you've been misinformed. That's really not true. So I looked into it, and yeah, it looks like it was some negative PR that people were floating around about Daniel Fox. So I said, hey, I'm more than happy to share, coverage of your games if you'd like. So the other thing I had mentioned was that, I had always heard that this is essentially Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 2nd Edition, but without the setting. And I didn't know. I had always heard that there hadn't been credit given, but I guess that's not the case either. So, hey, look at what we're taking a peek at then. So, certainly apologize for, being misinformed. So let's take a look at the back here. Everything you need to play in a beginner-friendly box. Zweihänder is an award-winning cooperative storytelling game set in a medieval fantasy world. I thought it's a role-playing game. It teaches starting gamers how to create their own fantasy characters who'll embark on adventures filled with intrigue, mystery, and supernatural horror. It's kind of funny how it's like 2 to 8 players, 1 to 3 hours. Like it's a board game. But it's not. We know this is a role-playing game. All right, so we've got some dice. Let's see what we've got here. So we have some 6-sided dice. And we've got a couple of 10-siders and a percentile. And then it looks like the 6 has a symbol on it. These dice are silk screen, so they are not cut dice. Just to give you a peek here. So Stray Kismet says if you end a Zweihänder session with both eyes, you're cheating. So, and of course, Zweihänder is a two-handed sword. That's what it is. So she is wielding a Zweihänder right there. Not to be confused with a Zoolander. A Zoolander is a hand and a half sword, otherwise known as a bastard sword. That is the Zoolander. This is the Zweihänder. So we got a player's guide. All right, come on. This box is pretty heavy. Okay, so we've got the player's guide. Looks like we've got some pre-gens. Looks like we've got some pre-gens here. We have damage and peril trackers. So I guess it looks like these might slide up and down on a character sheet, possibly. Kevin says, heck, there's even a whole separate game based on the same engine, Flames of Freedom, set during an alternate American Revolution. I have heard of that. In fact, full transparency, guys, you know me. I'm not here to bullshit anybody. If I mess up, I'm wrong about something, I tell you I'm wrong about something. I actually had Andrews McMeel Publishing reach out to ask me if I wanted to take a peek at Flames of Freedom. And I was like, oh, yeah, but it's like, yeah, it's from Daniel Fox. I don't know. So I didn't. Like I said, I'm just being honest. And I do realize that he is a creator that some people, have strong feelings about. But you know me. We go through this from time to time. Here's our Game Masters book, which is kind of on the bottom there. That's kind of wild. You know that I share role-playing games from all different kinds of people. So as long as no one is hurt by the actions of a role-playing game creator, then I'm happy to share their games with you. So I've shared games from people of all different stripes, all different sides of the political aisle, and of course, people bitched me out for it. But still, it's sort of like, well, So here we got the core rulebook. We've got a chaos supplement. We also have a player's handbook. So that's some of the extra stuff there. And it is available on Roll20. So, oh, hey, there was a code there. for the starter kit. So I'm sure somebody's going to jump on that now. All right. So first off, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the extras, and then we'll take a look at the books, because then I'll actually lock in the focus. So Kevin says doesn't think they're pre-gens, they're just different classes presented like powered by the Apocalypse playbooks. Well, we have started to see, it is blank. We have started to see a lot of companies, especially like Cubicle 7 Entertainment, kind of put together these kind of fancy pre-gen character sheets where they kind of like fold open and everything. So we have the Etherealist. So obviously they're a magic using class. So we have our movement actions, attack actions, perilous stunts, special actions, and reactions. So we have the Barber Surgeon. Bring out your dead. Kevin says, I think people on both sides of the spectrum hate Daniel Fox. Ironically, both for political reasons. Well, that must suck. Well, once again, this is not a political show, so we've got the Barber Surgeon, known as more important to the health of a small town or the soldier's camp than a solid, experienced barber surgeon. For some reason, I think this game also has kind of like a 30 Years' War setting to it. I might be wrong. We've got the Bounty Hunter. Pretty cool artwork, I must say. Calculating, cold, and ruthless. No other profession is so greatly feared than the Bounty Hunter. You track down the wanted for a living, no matter how dire the circumstance. We've got the Bravo. With a confident swagger and a wry quip, the Bravo prides themselves on being a swordsman with a flamboyant style. You find no greater joy than that of the duel, a fight of cunning, speed, and trickery between two opponents. Mike says barber surgeon named Theodoric of York. So there's our Bravo. Then we have the Charlatan. Charlatan's tools are as varied as the disguises they wear into a new town. You are a master of deception, both in word and action. From shell games and parlor tricks to blatant false promises. Okay, then we have Chosen. So these look like they are divine magic users. The gods demand obedience through their tenets of faith, yet no priest has ever had their prayers truly answered. None, save for you. Your benedictions are returned in the form of miracles, as the gods use you as their chosen vessel of divine might. That's cool. Then we got the Gambler. We got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. What compels a person with the need to win? Is it arrogance, ego, the need to be respected or feared? The gambler feels that pressing need and hence refuses to play a game where the odds are not stacked in their favor, nor one without stake. We've got the Investigator. The gift of memory and the histories were seen as a great blessing, but no longer. Today, folk put their faith in the editor of the weekly broadsheets and penny dreadfuls to entertain. Your gift is not lost, though, as you are an investigator. You're a master of details, making your livelihood through analyzing criminal and infernal activity. Got the Jester. Free speech is a rarity in an age when even a rumor about a baroness can land you in jail or worse. But as the Jester, you have free reign to say what you like, but also point and laugh right in an aristocrat's powdered face. As a joker and crass comedian, you frolic and jape, insulting dignitaries and making up crude lies on the fly, all of which the nobles find rib-tickling hilarious. I don't know how useful that character class might be. We got the pugilist. Pugilists win fights with their bare fists by the strength of will and atrophy of nerve. Maybe you make your living as a prize fighter, living off hefty purses as prizes. Or maybe a washed up has-been, fighting in back alleys for a handful of pennies. Regardless, pugilism is a sport where sacrifice is vital. Got the reeve. Bandits, highwaymen, and worse plague the paths between cities. Thus, reeves are knights of the road, charged with keeping it safe from brigands. You carry out your charge with brutal efficiency, scrutinizing every passerby for signs of nefarious activity. You got the cell sword. When battle looms near, an average person will ask what they're fighting for. Their queen, their god, their country. Whatever they decide, the sellsword knows it to be a lie. So instead, you brandish steel for the cash it'll put in your pocket. That's a little too big as far as the sword goes, I think. Just my opinion there. Then we have the smuggler. Draconian laws, social taboos, and xenophobia are a boon to some, but they are the bread and butter of the ever-elusive smuggler. No matter where you go, you know practically every crime syndicate and seedy tavern. You may traffic in illegal and stolen wares, such as dangerous animals, illicit arms, and poisons, but never people. No, that would make you a slaver, not a smuggler. Okay, so then we have fortune points. So these are tokens. I was going to say they're cut pretty nicely. And they are dual-sided with different artwork on each side. So we've got those. Nice thick cardstock here. So we have injury cards. We have moderate injuries. Bruised eye socket, chest wound, gut buster. 'Tis but a flesh wound. You also have serious injuries. Pierced throat, jammed toes. Let's see what else we got here. Cleft skull. Yeah, that would not be good. Hacked calf. Bashed skull, busted kneecap. Shredded muscle. Smashed groin. Shell-shocked. Then we have grievous injuries. Cerebral contusion, crushed toes, cut artery, butchered shank, slashed nose, penetrated gut, shattered orbit. And we have spell cards. Anoint weapon, bewitched, cack-headed grasp, animism's musk. Kind of cool. Looks like we got a few. Custodian's dying breath. Kevin says, yeah, that might be a Zweihänder, a three-handed sword. Yeah, you have to hire somebody to help you with it. So we've got Dispel Magic, Candlelights, Hat Trick, Haunting, Hasten Speed, Invoke Fury, Hush, Night Father's Fancy, Magic Missile, there you go, Robber's Misery, Pinprick. So we get distance, reagents, duration, effects, critical success, critical failure. Quite a bit in his starter set. Transmutation's Boon, Vow of Fealty, Warding, Steward's Decree, Will o' the Wisp, Witch Sight. We've got that. Then we've got some clue cards, which I would take a guess are from the adventure. Bloody Boot Prints. So it's same art on both sides. Fancy Ring. Plus a finger. That's the bonus. Got a bloodstained note. Hidden journal. It's kind of cool. We actually have a few statues as far as clues. The leather-bound grimoire. Piece of gray thread. Under somebody's nails, no doubt. I think this is just a poster. That's what it looks like. Yep. It is a poster. Of the front cover. I should say the box cover. Looks like we've got a map. So it looks like we've got a map of the town here. So this looks like this side might be unmarked. And then on the other side, it's marked. Yep. That's what we're seeing here. All right, what else we got here? Looks like we got some maps. So looks like we've got a boat there. So we've got kind of like a player's side. The full tankard, which looks like to be an inn. The dockyard's drawbridge. Vauxhall Manor. I like how it's 3D. I think that's cool. I'm a fan of the 3D maps. Like we find with a lot of the Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures. Chapter House of the Martyr. The Slumber Inn. This must be a common house. Fulsey Conclave. Lair of the Muse. It's kind of funny. It looks like if you take a peek, it's someone like bent over, like a skeleton. See, there's the skull, the legs, the hands. That's kind of wild. Yeah, there you go. Body, right arm, right leg, head. And then, looks like this is a cardstock Game Master screen. And we see some of the artwork from the character class sheets we were taking a peek at. So we've got our difficulty ratings, dispositions, skills, combat conditions, movement actions, attack actions, special actions, fortune and misfortune, healing damage and bleeding, healing injuries and infection. So that is on our cardstock Game Master screen. Joseph says, unbelievable how much they packed into this box for $29.99. Yeah, quite a quite impressive, I would say. Let's start putting some of this stuff back into the box, and then we're going to take a look at the books. All right, there we go. So we have the poster, we've got the maps, we've got the various different character classes. I'm just going to take that out because it doesn't seem to want to go in there. Jeez. Something is not, there we go. I think it's the cards didn't want to line up to go back into the box. Okay, so we've got the player's guide. Let's take a peek. And I will now lock on in with our focus here. Paper stock's pretty nice on this. It should hold up fairly well. Kevin says the only downside is you have to copy the character booklets if you want to use them more than once. But the way they've simplified the character creation process is cool for beginning players. Welcome to Zweihänder. Zweihänder is a cooperative storytelling game set in a medieval fantasy world. It's a place of gallows humor, intrigue and mystery, supernatural horror, and vendettas meted with black powder, iron, and sorcery. It's a morally gray world. So magic and heresy, superstition and stratification, humanity and adventuring. So low fantasy and high stakes. Monsters aren't the only danger found in this game. People are too. A village of peasants can readily drag a knight off their horse and beat them to a bloody pulp. And in this game, there is no remedy to reattach an arm hacked off by a peasant's sickle. No godly boon to wipe away the shock of a friend being torn apart. No prayers that can bring back the dead from the well of souls. Violence and compassion. So you have corruption. It spreads through selfish or misguided decisions and exposure to supernatural phenomena. Corruption plays the long game, whispering into people's ears when they're vulnerable. It misleads priests to false idols while turning even-handed rulers into unbridled despots. Corruption's greatest pleasure, however, is when it can steer an adventurer toward their most ignoble, vile self. All right, so it appears that we're looking at a D100. So you're looking at rolling less than or equal to or less than. So the six-sided dice are usually rolled for damage, called fury dice or sometimes chaos dice, depending on their context. You generate results from 1 to 6. Rolling high is good. You got your 10-sided die, generally used for initiative or falling, fire, and magic damage. Rolling high is good. And we got our percentile dice. Rolling low is good. So here are our skills. Alchemy, athletics, awareness, bargain, charm, coordination, counterfeit, disguise, drive, eavesdrop, education, folklore, gamble, guile, handle animal, heal, incantation, interrogation, intimidate, leadership, martial melee, martial ranged, navigation, pilot, resolve, ride, rumor, scrutinize, simple melee, simple ranged, skullduggery, stealth, survival, toughness, tradecraft, and warfare. So die matches are critical. Sometimes when you roll D100, you end up with a die match. Die matches occur whenever you generate the same result on both the first number on the 10s and the same as a units die. So, yes, a 10 and a 1, a 20 and a 2, 70 and a 7. So, that is a critical success. Of course, no doubt you still need to roll under your skill rating. So, fortune points. Oh, so, we have a fortune point. On the flip side was a misfortune point. Womp, 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 womp. Okay. So we've got our rules for character creation. So our attributes are agility, brawn, combat, fellowship, intelligence, perception, willpower. And then based on your profession, you're going to get a change. It's like 5% to your primary attributes. And I would have to assume your primary attributes are reflected in your skills. Oh, there's somebody who's going to be masquerading as a man. Pretty obvious there. This looks interesting, I got to say. I definitely like the artwork. It is rather similar to earlier editions of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. At least mechanically, we can see. All right, so we have different ancestries here. So let's see what we've got. All right, so here we have human, right? Okay. Also, you also get an ancestral trait. That's kind of cool. So we got humans. We have awakened. Lingering in forgotten parts of the world are rare people who only recently stirred from their eternal slumber. Or like the undead. You are one of the awakened, a living statue, sculpted in the image of another. Okay. It's kind of wild. The Azatlan, amphibious like people, noted for their ceaseless desire for structure. Cold logic dictates your life. The dwarf. The elf. The gnome. Gnomes are notoriously cantankerous, stone-skinned beings who live among the roots of trees. And that's how you used to like it living in solitude. Got the Grendel. So they're like satyrs. There's our halfling. There's Fatty. I know, I didn't see anybody catch on to that reference I made. We've got ogres. So we actually have quite a few different ancestries here. Seabra. Fickle and coldly neutral, the Seabra are wanderers never staying in one place for too long. Your culture is centered around the worship of a revered ancestor, carefully preserved and kept safe by sacred warriors of your caravan. So are these humanoid? I'm assuming these are masks that they're wearing. But it looks like they have 3 fingers, 4 fingers. Okay. The Ubasti. Excuse me. That sneeze came out of nowhere. All right, so we've got a variety of different tables you're going to roll on, I should say. Oh, there you go. There's somebody who's missing an eye. So Kevin says, I recognize Fatty Bolger. Of course, he never went to Mount Doom. Yeah, so there was a Lord of the Rings game that Reiner Knizia designed, maybe just like 10 years ago or something. And it was for up to 5 players. And everybody took the role of a hobbit. So the fifth Hobbit was Fatty. It was like, and he's part of the Fellowship, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about? All right, so we got our gear here. So we do have black powder weapons. We've got our combat. So we got action points that you spend. So you could charge, get up, hustle, maneuver, run, take cover. Attack actions, called shot, cast magic, melee attack, or ranged attack. Perilous stunts, chokehold, dirty tricks, disarm, stunning blow, sunder, and takedown. What? No grappling? So we also have parry and dodging. So we have special actions, interact, load, take aim, wait, words as weapons. And we have reactions, assist, channel power, counter spell, opportunity attack. Oh, little typo there. Parry or dodge and resist. So then we have healing injuries and infection. I would take a stab in the dark that this will have a pretty lethal combat system. I'm sure Kevin can let us know. It sounds like Kevin's pretty familiar with this system. So we've got magic. So remember, this is the player's guide. And that clocked in at how many pages? About 80? Oh, sorry, 98. And then here is the Game Master's secrets, which my assumption is we're going to have an adventure in here. So keep that in mind. So if you are a player hoping that your Game Master is going to pick up Zweihänder, then I would definitely recommend you might want to tune out now, because I'm sure we're going to see some spoilers in here. We already saw some spoilers with the clues and the maps as we took a peek. So we're going to get into running the game, Secrets of Swansea. I assume that's the game world. And an expanded bestiary. Or maybe Secrets of Swansea is the adventure. It has, I gotta say, this has some really nice line art. So we've got our running the game section here. Oh, it's my copy of the Necronomicon. Sweet, very nice. Now, through the grapevine, I heard that, because I think this starter set is kind of a new edition of Zweihänder. And I heard it's not as, I guess, grim and perilous. That it's more, I guess some people feel it's more like D&D with a percentile system. I don't know. Looking at the artwork certainly does not give me that impression. Session 0, this is when you and the players get together for an hour to create PCs, set some ground rules, and take the game for a test drive before starting the adventure. So, are these some, I think these are pre-gens here. Or they are actually, no, they're actually NPCs, I believe. Okay, so we're going to skip more pages. So it looks like our adventure is set up in various different acts and scenes, which is not unusual. as if it looks like this adventure's got a pretty good page count to it. So then we get a bit of a bestiary here. And it looks like we have various different NPCs. And we get some creatures here too. Then we've got a couple of appendices. The Witch Hammer Fanatic. Oh, look, it's the Witch Hunter General. So we have our creature traits, giving us a breakdown of what these represent, what they do. Then we've got our various different maps, which we already have handouts for. And then we've got different injuries. So it gives us the effects of the injuries. Wancho is heading on out to go eat some pizza. Well, enjoy. We'll see you next time. All right, so this clocks in at 91 pages. Pretty interesting. All right, so that is the Game Master's secrets. And we also have the player's guide. Let's put these in here. We've got our dice. We've got our little advertising here as well. And that's what we find when we take Zweihänder outside the box for the starter kit, which is from Grim and Perilous Studios and Andrew McMeel Publishing. The box set is available now. It carries an MSRP of $29.99. Or, once again, you can grab the PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for the demonic price of $6.66. And of course, I will have a review of the starter kit in the very near future. Okay, that is it for this time out. Tomorrow's show, I'm going to unbox and take a first look at The Dark Knight Returns from Cryptozoic Entertainment. Of course, it's based on the famed Frank Miller graphic novel. And on Monday's show, we are going to take a look at Lawson, Wicked Secrets, and Other Tales. I think it's Other Tales. Oh, no, sorry. And Other Mysteries, which is from Free League Publishing. Yes, fine folks over at Free League Publishing were kind enough to send this along because they realized, hey, you know what? We never sent this to Jeff to take a peek at. So we're going to dive on in. And yes, Seasons of Mystery. I have a review of that on the near horizon as well. So don't forget, I've got that. I've got a lot of fantasy role-playing reviews on the horizon. I've got my review of the first chapter in the brand new Pathfinder Adventure Path coming up too. So there's that. Joseph said, great show tonight. Looks like tomorrow is another must-see. I hope so. I don't know if it's must-see. It's not like, Seinfeld in its glory days, but hopefully you swing on in and check it out. All right. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my review of Gran Mechanismo from Osprey Games. So if you're watching live, thank you very kindly. If you were watching live and took part in chat, big tip of the cap, because you're not only keeping me company, you're keeping each other company at the same time. But of course, I know a lot of people out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the YouTube channel for the Gaming Gang. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it happens to be in your neck of the woods. I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, here's hoping each and every one of you always gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, that's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.